you actually made the most news of anyone at Wrestlecon, because I guess there was some type of confrontation with you and Jake the Snake Roberts. Do you want to shed some light on that? I understand everything's good now. But.
Oh yeah, everything's good now. I got no problems with Jake, first and foremost. We buried the hatchet, and I talked to him, and he dropped whatever charges he had. I actually, I got no problem with Jake. I like him. I respect that he's kind of turned his life around with things, and he's cleaned himself up. My more issue was with these jabroni wannabe websites that were making a thunder out of a fart, I should say. And nothing was really going to happen. I had the altercation with Jake because he had made a podcast with Roddy Piper before, and I'd spoken to Roddy before he passed away, and he cried on the phone to me, we had an emotional conversation about it, and he apologized, and they were both, I believe, under the influence of some stuff, and they did it. But it was that, and then I had said something to Jake on Twitter about him bashing my father in these interviews because my dad's not around anymore. And then I kept hearing about him talking about Davey, and it's like, why are you talking about Davey now? He's passed away. He's not here to defend himself. If you had a problem with him, why the fuck didn't you talk to him back in '96 when you were working in WWF? And a guy in England told me that he was trying to talk to Jake about his current sobriety and his path with that, and then he said that he just turned the whole interview into burying Davey, and he told me that he pretty much said that Davey was like Charles Manson. And I was so offended, and he said that he wasn't even going to put the interview up. He buried him so bad. So I was mad about that. So I confronted Jake about it, and he didn't want to apologize, and he just kind of threw his arms up like, that's the way it is, kid. And I wanted to talk to him diplomatically, and he didn't. And then I was prepared to fight him, and he didn't want to fight me, but he wanted to mouth off to me. So and then he said something like, fuck you, fuck your dad, and he said something about my dad, and I saw red there, and anybody that would be in my boots would have done the same thing. So I just threw coffee at him, and then his daughter was the one that attacked me, and she got mad, and she called the cops, but the cops came, and then I left because she was killing my merchandise sales, and I had a show to do for Byron Wilcott, and Tommy Dreamer told them to come and talk to me at the show later on that night for Hardcore Heaven. Nobody came and talked to me. So that this BS that they were looking for me and I was, on the run or something was a bunch of bullshit. And that was all these jabroni websites wanting to get some hits and, like I said, make a thunder out of a fart. And unless the only person that anybody should really listen to is Dave Meltzer with the Wrestling Observer, and personally, all these other places are, like the National Enquirer. But in a long story short, I talked to Jake. And we had a good conversation, and he apologized, and he said he wasn't going to bring up Davey's name anymore in interviews, and he was very cool, He said that he understood where I was coming from because of his father, Grizzly Smith, being in the business, and he said he didn't want me to get in trouble for this, and he asked for me to apologize publicly, and I'm a man of my word, and I did it, and if I saw Jake here today, I'd shake his hand, and we're all good. So we're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. We all have, tempers that flare sometimes. And for me, with my father, it's a touchy subject, and I'm sure that it would be the same thing for you if it was somebody talking about your father. And another thing is that you got to really stand up for yourself in life, because people really will step on you, and they'll, if they can feel like they can step on you or get ahead or bully you, and you got to step up, and you got to stand up for yourself and stand up for your family. And even if you lose in a battle, or if you lose in a fight defending yourself or defending your family, you're defending your honor, and that's what I was doing. So.
And that person might not mess with you again, just knowing that they're going to have to fight you or go through a confrontation.
And if they do it, and if they do beat me, then they should be a UFC heavyweight champion, because I'm not the toughest guy in the world, maybe, but I would say I'm quite a handful.
Yes, you've been definitely training for probably well over a decade now by some of the best fighters in the world.